Well, hello, everyone. I'm Jill Bloom, Group Publisher of Walls and Ceilings, and thank you for joining me for If Walls Could Talk. I'm so honored to be joined by Trent Cotney, partner with Adams and Reese. Trent, thank you so much for joining me.
Jill, it's good to see you again.
Great to see you too. Well, some fun nuggets of information, as always, that you have to offer, Trent. I wanted to talk about, you were mentioning before we got on, what do all contractors need to know when it comes to bidding public work?
Sure. So, if you are, let's say you're a residential contractor and you're getting ready to start getting into, public work or, light commercial or anything else, anytime you're moving from your normal day-to-day work to maybe a new type of work, you need to understand and be prepared that there's going to be requirements and things that you might not normally be familiar with. So oftentimes in public work, regardless of whether it's local or state or federal, there'll be a proposed project out there that you can bid. It's important that you obtain all that documentation, you review the potential contract, and you closely review the exhibits. We've had a couple of instances where contractors have run afoul of not being able to provide not just their workmanship warranty, but the manufacturer warranty. So make sure that if you're about to bid, let's say you're going to, replace a roof or, re-stucco a building or whatever it might be, you want to take the time to understand not only what's in that contract if you win that bid, but also the warranty requirements. Very important. And I think, something else, Jill, I think we were talking about it, was the payment bond issue as well. It is oftentimes on public work, you get in a situation where you've got to provide a payment and performance bond. And the landscape for that has changed dramatically since COVID-19. And the material crisis sureties are taking a real hard look at their principles of contractors to make sure that they've got financial wherewithal. And just being able to navigate that and really understand that is something that we're trying to kind of counsel our clients on, to make sure they understand sort of the internal processes and procedures they should follow.
So you bring up a really good point. So clearly it sounds like you've had some contractors that have been in this situation. So what happens if you get to the end of the project and you realize you don't comply?
Right. So, that is a big issue. On the warranty side, we've had to get very creative, everything from providing special warranty bonds to extending workmanship to trying to thread the needle with the contracting officer or the procurement office, depending on where it is. But it requires a combination of both legal and political to kind of get to where you got to go. On the payment and performance bond side, before you start a project, I want our listeners to really pay attention to this. Before you start the project, obtain a copy of the payment and performance bond. So if you are a sub-tier or a prime contractor, right, oftentimes it will be recorded in the official records of the county where you're performing work, if it's a state or local project. If it's a federal project, you can ask your customer or the owner for a copy or do a Freedom of Information Act request. It's very important to get that information in advance because you don't want to be searching for it if you haven't been paid, right? So just some self-help things like that. It's really just understanding what you can do to help mitigate your risk.
Sounds great. Thank you so much, Trent. And you brought up one more thing I want to ask you about. It sounds like I've heard from some collections folks that there's a lot of bankruptcies going on these days. Do you have any insight on that? What does everybody need to know?
Yeah, we had two major general contractors file bankruptcy this week that affected a lot of our subcontractors. And, once a bankruptcy is filed, the bankruptcy court puts an automatic stay on debt collection. So you cannot, let's say you're actively suing a general contractor for payment, that stops everything in the tracks. That dispute goes into the bankruptcy court. The bankruptcy trustee ultimately will determine whether or not that's something that's valid. So it really sort of handcuffs you once bankruptcy is filed. One of the key things to look out for, Jill, is the type of bankruptcy that's filed. Okay, so with personal bankruptcy, and I'm being general, but personal bankruptcy, you can do a Chapter 7 or a Chapter 13. Chapter 7 means liquidation, which means there's not going to be anything there by the time you're done. Chapter 13 means they're reorganizing, which means secured creditors, those with lien claims, mortgages, et cetera, have the opportunity to potentially get some money. Unsecured don't know. On the business side of things, there's, chapter 11, which is the same equivalent as chapter 13, which you need to look for. And again, 7 is liquidation. So that is why I always push so hard for contractors to get lien claims, because it is a secured claim that in the event there's a bankruptcy, you potentially will stand above those unsecured creditors that just, sent out an invoice.
Very good insight and recommendations, Trent. Well, if anybody has any questions, what is the best way to reach you?
Sure. Payment bonds, bankruptcy, very complicated questions. Happy to answer anything with follow-ups. You can reach me at trent.cotney@arlaw.com.
Sounds great. And if anybody has any questions for us, it's roofingcontractor.com, wconline.com. And while you're there, make sure you sign up for all our free content, especially our e-newsletters, our e-magazine, our website. That way you can always stay up to date on all the great interviews we're doing, especially the ones with Trent and all the great legal information. But most importantly, stay safe and healthy. And we can't wait to talk to you soon. Thanks again, Trent.
Thank you.